If you see square waves in the ocean, get out of the water immediately.
But before we start, please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and smash that like button. We really appreciate your continuous support.
We all love spending time on the beach or walking up a mountain or a hiking trail. However, we hate it when these excursions are interrupted by rain, hail, or possibly even worse weather. Luckily, there are a few signs that nature can give us that we can use as a great indicator to look out for. Here are 20 of the best warnings that nature can offer to help you when you're out and about. Pay attention to the color of the sky. If the sky's looking slightly green, it doesn't mean that the sky is sick, although it's about to hurl something at you. Green tinges in clouds could indicate a tornado, or more commonly, hail. If you see green clouds approaching, it's best to get indoors and park all your vehicles indoors to avoid any hail damage. Keep watch for crisscross waves. If you're at the beach and you see the waves hitting one another from different directions, then it's best that you stay out of the water. These waves crashing together generally create powerful rip currents that could get hard to get away from. And while these waves may look pretty or even funny, they are a danger that's best to avoid. Be careful if your sidewalk is shiny. When sidewalks appear to be shining or have a slight gloss, it may be a good indication that you should step very carefully. Glossy sidewalks generally mean that there's some black ice built up. This ice is incredibly dangerous and could cause cars and people to go sliding into things. So when you see a sheen, perhaps take an alternative route. Steer clear of bright colors. If you're spending some time in nature and see animals, especially snakes and amphibians, take note of their coloration. These species tend to have a rule that the more colorful they are, the more poisonous they'll be. So if you see any animal with bright colors, instead, create a wide berth and try not to get too close. Be careful of snow cracks. If you're somebody that loves skiing and spending time in the snow, then one of the best things you can watch out for is cracks or hollows in the snow. These cracks can indicate unstable or loose snow, and it would be best for you to avoid these as they could be hiding caverns or valleys, places you don't want to find yourself in. Pay attention to certain birds. While there is still a dispute as to how accurate this is, scientists have found that golden-winged warblers are a great indicator as to whether there's a tornado on its way or not. These birds have been found to fly out of the area if they feel an incoming tornado, and if you see a group that's been hanging around suddenly takes flight, then it may be a good idea to check the weather and see if there's any warnings that have been issued. Look out for hair tingling experiences. While it may sound strange, you stand a very high chance of actually getting struck by lightning if you're out in a storm. You can tell if lightning's about to strike nearby, thanks to the fact that your hair will naturally begin to feel very static and any jewelry that you're wearing may have a slight tingle to it. If you feel this starting to happen, get indoors immediately and wait a while before venturing out again. Take note of highly agitated waves. Waves that are slightly more choppy than usual usually mean that there's a rip current underneath the surface of the water. Rip currents can be incredibly dangerous and can easily pull you under or out to sea, no matter how good a swimmer you are. If you see choppy waves, it might be a better idea to stay out of the water until things have calmed down a bit. Carefully watch the shoreline. The ocean can give us a great early warning if things are about to get dangerous. Because water needs to fill voids caused by underwater earthquakes, shorelines tend to recede when these occur. It's easy to see if something's about to happen thanks to this receding water, which could herald an incoming tsunami. The wreckers of havoc and destruction. If you see this, it's a good indication to get out of there quickly. Watch where the animals are running. If you live in an area that's prone to wildfires, the best warning you may be able to have will be which direction the animals are running from. Most animals will hightail it in the other direction if they see a fire starting. And while the smoke would probably be the best indication that there's a fire, It's important to take note if you see animals running for no visible reason. Pay attention to large amounts of water. Flash floods are a real danger, mainly because 9 times out of 10 they'll catch you completely by surprise. If it's been raining a lot in your area, or any area that's higher than where you are, look for water beginning to pool up, or even the sound of rushing water. These things could signal the approach of a flash flood and could indicate that you better get to higher ground, and fast. Take note of where your dog is paying attention to. Dogs are amazing animals that go beyond just being man's best friend. Scientists have discovered that dogs can actually smell cancer cells. So if your furry friend is suddenly licking or continuously sniffing a certain part of your body, it may be a good idea to go to the doctor and get it checked out. Take a look at the shape of trees. If you're out in the park or on a hike, make sure you're watching for trees that are growing in the shape of a J. These trees naturally grow this way in order to survive if there's a landslide. So if you see trees, it may be important to keep the fact that the area could be subject to landslides in the back of your mind. Open your ears to the croaks around you. While many people may be grossed out by toads and frogs, them singing these songs of their people may be a good indication of the weather. Frogs generally love it when it rains, and they tend to become much more vocal when they sense that there's rain approaching. If you hear their croaks more often, it may be a good idea to carry an umbrella. Listen to the sounds of the ocean. We all love the sound of the ocean. It generally calms us and helps us to relax. However, if you suddenly hear the ocean emitting a deep rumble, that's not exactly the same as its usual mellow sound, then it might be a good idea to leave the beach. These deep rumbles sometimes indicate that there's an incoming tsunami, one of nature's worst ways of wreaking havoc. Look out for the moon's engagement. If you've ever seen the moon surrounded by a glowing circle, then you probably got rained on a short time later. These rings are formed by clouds filled with tiny ice crystals that float in the atmosphere. These crystals refract light in the atmosphere and cause the glowing ring, and generally indicate that there's a storm approaching. Watch out when animals are on the move. Animals such as rodents, snakes, and insects tend to be able to sense when there's an upcoming earthquake. While they generally do not begin to move in time to give humans a large enough break to make a significant difference, these small warnings can help you prepare for what's about to happen. Look up at the clouds in the sky. We all like looking at clouds and seeing what shape they're taking on. However, if we see clouds that are starting to form a wall, especially if these clouds are low, we should take notice and maybe get out of the area. These low walls of cloud often herald the possibility of a tornado, which is something that's clear you would want to avoid. Follow the sharks. Sharks have a very good sense of large tropical storms and hurricanes. When they can sense that there's one that's approaching, they'll generally make a way out of the area as soon as possible. If you're out to sea and see sharks heading in the opposite direction, it might be a good idea to follow them, as contrary to good health as that may seem. Find another cave dwelling. Caves that line the shore are great to explore and wander into when they're accessible. However, be very careful if you want to go and explore these caves during a full moon. The moon may be affecting the tide more than usual and could make caves that generally would not be openly accessible. These caves, however, need to be entered with great caution, and you should take care to spend as little time in them as possible.